I have a quick segue for you,
Oh, yeah?
just because you've made me think of something. Now we've, wanted to talk about arsehole characters and when they do and don't work.
Yeah.
Because they are, all the characters in Trainspotting are, they're undeniably arseholes, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, they're basically all terrible people.
Yeah. But they're so entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And that's the same with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. When they are all so horrible people. They are just completely despicable, horrible, selfish, self-obsessed, terrible human beings, but they are so funny and they are so fun to watch. And it's, why does that work? And then in fucking Sex and the City, they're all complete twats as well. But I hate watching that.
Well, see, I think this is probably... it must be to do with, I'd say, audience positioning. So the same kind of thing I mentioned with Joker in terms of like how, in Sex and the City, I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing as the audience, especially, on the women's side and like agreeing with them being on that perspective. Well, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, we're positioned to laugh at them and their horrible antics.
Yes.
And I think that's where it comes. We laugh. The catharsis and the of the comedy in It's Always Sunny comes from laughing at these terrible people suffering terrible consequences from the terrible things they do to each other. It's Charlotte Freuder, similar to something like Archer, which I think has a similar kind of dynamic with its terrible characters. Well, I think I assume Sex and the City is more like, oh no, her boyfriend is gay after all. Isn't that actually terrible? And you're thinking, well, no. Because he's allowed to be gay, or like. Well, I mean, I haven't seen it. This is based on what you've told me. That's what I think the plots are like.
That is very similar to the actual plot.
That's a season finale tier storyline there,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think? Does that ring true?
I think it's audience positioning. Like, I think you go into Always Sunny and to Trainspotting knowing that these are terrible people, and at no point during the story do they ever, try to present them as good people.
Well, the one thing with Trainspotting is...
Well, with Renton, and he has the redemption and eventually turns his life around, but he's not exactly happy about it, is he?
No, and like obviously he still can't do some of the things he's done. But the point is the fact that I think because he shows, even from the beginning, he's clearly like, I know I'm in a shit place. I'm trying to get out of it, but I'm being pulled down by my toxic friends. So we have that kind of sympathy for him. And then also the fact that, he does actually succeed and he was doing well until his friends pull him back again. Like, so there is definitely that kind of...
Yeah.
Because it's difficult to have a protagonist that's completely dislikable. But even then, that can still work.
You say that. In Always Sunny, none of them are likeable, though, are they? They are funny. Yeah. But, I mean, my favourite character by far is Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Or Frank Reynolds, I should say. Like, but he is a, self-obsessed, horrible old man who's racist and sexist, but he's so funny. And I don't know, like, you never want them to be caught, do you? You want them to succeed because they have, I don't know, they have the charm, I think. But it's also, like, as you say, audience positioning, like, where in Always Sunny, it's almost a learning tool of, like, don't be like this. Don't be a complete arsehole because you'll end up like this. And they are all, they don't have any friends. They're all really poor and they alienate literally everyone.
Yeah.
And none of them can get partners because they're all horrible people, all of it, that they can't succeed in life because they're horrible. Whereas in Sex and the City, they are all horrible and they all succeed. And you're just like, I don't want to, what, they don't deserve their success because they are just as horrible as, well, they're not quite as horrible as the Always Sunny team, but, they're
not great.
They're not great. Like, they shouldn't have their success. And they also treat people like dirt and they are all filthy rich and just, it feels so undeserved. Whereas in Always Sunny and in Trainspotting, they get the... their retribution. They get
their just desserts, yeah.
Yeah, they get their just desserts, and that's why it feels a lot easier to like them, I guess, because you know that however horrible they are, they're going to suffer for it.
Yeah, because you know the writers are on your side, not theirs. So like, don't worry,
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
make them pay for it. Yeah. But then
Whereas
so this
Sex and the
is
City is absolutely desperate to make you like them.
so this is the thing, because I mean, Sex and the City is a drama, isn't it, primarily?
Well, and it's a rom-com.
Oh, it is a okay. Because I was going to say, because this is all so far we're talking mainly comedy, and even though Trainspotting is a drama, there's definitely it's definitely comedy-esque. There's a lot of sort of comedy inflections in the way in its genre. But then if you think about, and I know you haven't seen this, but hopefully you'll know enough to maybe say something. But like, if think about like Clockwork Orange, which is a straight-up drama, nothing funny about it. The main character, is a violent psychopath. He constantly rapes people for fun, and yet he's still the protagonist, and it works. And you somehow do still feel sympathy for him. And to be fair, bad things do happen to him later on, which is basically, I mean, the whole plot is basically about like terrible things happening to him while he's sort of trying to redeem himself. I don't know. I'll tell you what, we will do this on film education eventually, so we'll do more about this then. But it's interesting, like how that works still. And I don't know if it's just because he is so charismatic or because he's literally just because he's the protagonist. He narrates it.
Well, I wrote an entire coursework piece on the likable villain and why audiences like them. And there is something about, we enjoy watching someone have absolutely no regard to the rules, because it's like deep down what everyone wants to do is just do whatever they want,
Yeah, it's the expression of the id, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And because I did a thing about the Joker in The Dark Knight, like he is, again, it's completely psychopathic, kills so many people in really horrible ways, but he is so charismatic and so unbelievably watchable and a joy to watch. That it's like, I always find myself like, I love this character, but I feel like I shouldn't.
Yeah, but even then, the Joker is still the villain to a hero that we still follow and is defeated in the end. Well, Clockwork Orange, he is the hero of the story.
Yeah.
And in the way, I mean, part of it is the fact that this violent, psychopathic, rapist and murderer is somehow still the good character in the story, is in itself a part of the point of Clockwork Orange.
I suppose that shows you the power of filmmaking, power of where they place you and who to follow and who to like and dislike.
Yeah.
Because like we were saying, like very briefly the other day, we were talking about how in Shawshank Redemption...
Oh, yeah.
With Red, like they frame Red as being, he's just a sweet, innocent old man.
He's Morgan Freeman. He's so charismatic. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very, very charismatic. He's very likable all the way throughout the film. He's like the best friend of Andy Dufresne, and we know as an audience, because we've been shown, that Andy Dufresne is innocent. Whereas they position you to love Red, and you do love Red. Like he's great. He was my favourite character when I watched that.
Yeah.
I think, probably everyone's favourite character. Whatever. But the audience don't know if he's innocent or not. He could have murdered 3 people. Yeah. But it's the way they position you is to love him, and you do love him. But you don't know what he's done. And like that's so interesting that everyone is so quick to love him. Without thinking about, what he's done.
Well, because it's interesting, because obviously, so we obviously have no idea what his crime is, but when we're first introduced to him, if I recall correctly, it's him trying to do his hearing to be let out on bail and being denied. So our introduction to him is being like, oh, well, this is a guy whose goal is to get out, and so he's just automatically be like, okay, well, that's what we wanted him to do. And that's a perfect example of how, audience positioning works. Just by how we are introduced to a character, it completely changes what we think of them and what we want them to achieve. Well, yeah, like you're saying, like a different film where we see like the crime, we'd be like, oh my god, he's terrible, don't let him out. Oh, thank god they didn't let him out. And then at the end, like, no, you've let him out, what are you doing?
Because a lot of that film was about injustice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's almost like an assumption that, like, if he's friends with Andy Dufresne, who we know is innocent, he must be innocent as well, because that's the film. But then, there's no way to prove that within the film.
It's like he must have done something to end up there, But then, that's the assumption, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know. It's interesting, I find, the lovable villain, or someone who is undeniably bad, who everyone likes. Which is interesting, about the Joker. Why Joker from Joaquin Phoenix's Joker? Whacking.
Whacking Phoenix.
Whacking. What was he called in that? Arthur Peck?
Not Arthur Dent. Yeah.
Peck? Maybe.
No.
I can't remember.
What? No. What was it? I keep want to say Arthur Dent, but that's Hitchhiker, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Hitchhiker.
Oh no, it is Arthur, isn't it? Arthur.
It is Arthur.
Arthur Penn something. Penn.
Peck.
Is it Peck?
Is it Peck?
I don't think it is Peck. I don't think it's Peck. It's got to be something else, surely. That's a terrible name. Sorry, any Arthur Peck's listening. Fleck, that was it, Fleck. Yeah.
Fleck. I was close.
I feel like there's going to be an Arthur Peck listening and be like, oh. Yeah, Arthur Fleck. I don't know where I got pen from.
Well, right, whatever. I was going to say, like, I found him hard to like because it spends, makes you spend so much time, like, showing you how shit his life is.
You just all got exhausted by it, didn't you?
Yeah, he's not a likable main character. And I don't think... Oh, like, this is no slight against Joaquin Phoenix, but I think this more of a script thing. But that he's not charismatic enough to draw you in and hold you. Do you know what I mean? Like, comparing him to all these other ones we've offered up, who are, again, undeniably bad people, but they are so charismatic and likable, whereas he was... I don't know. I feel like if he had all this shit stuff happen to him, but then was the charismatic character, I don't know.
Well, so I mean, my response to that is like, so if you think about like Trainspotting, I mean, so to put aside comedies for the time being, because it's always sunny, there's no arcs there. They are always bad. So they're but I think like in Trainspotting, the point is Renton goes from being like a lowlife to bettering himself, while Arthur Fleck is the reverse. He goes from being obviously not a guy in great situations, but still, just trying to get on, and becomes this horrific psychopathic killer. Yeah. And that's so the point is, well, like Trainspotting, we get invested in him because he's making a difference, a positive difference. In Joker, we lose the sympathy for him. So I'm not sure it's like as such. Do we just lose faith from writing?
But do you lose the sympathy in him though? That's the question.
Well, I mean, again, I've written 3,000 words on this exact question. I say yes because I definitely was not with him by the end. You become polarized against him, and I think the TV show, that scene exemplifies it from the way it's shot, the way it's presented, from like from my view was that was from Robert De Niro's perspective. We see him ridiculing it, and I think the way it's shown, it seems to be that we're supposed to be on the side against Joker, and it's ridiculing the philosophy.
See, I don't know about that because in that scene, Robert De Niro is such an arsehole. Like, I feel like if Robert De Niro wasn't an arsehole in that scene, then yes, you lose him. But even then, even with the Joker doing his final, like, this finale, he's dreamed of this his whole life, and it's like Robert De Niro still is a twat to him. So you think when he... Spoilers. When he...
That's going to be a very slim chance to put the spoiler void on YouTube. That's like a frame.
Yeah. When he shoots Robert De Niro in the face, it's like... Obviously, it was very shocking, but it still doesn't feel that undeserved because of how Robert De Niro's been presented through the whole thing.
I mean, I definitely see what you mean. I mean, to me, Robert De Niro was saying the things I was thinking. So maybe that's just the personal takeaway. And I was like, yeah, he's right, you're an idiot. But also the fact that like the main point I made in my essay was like, so the Joker, if it was from his perspective, his speech would be this like glorious moment, everyone would be like hushed. It'd be like something, where he does a speech and everyone claps afterwards. Like it would be like, the perfect thing. But the fact that he makes a fool of himself and he keeps tripping over his words, and he even like goes, oh, we live in a society. Like that's memed, and it's memed because it's silly. And I think, that's a deliberate silliness. I don't think that's supposed to be taken seriously.
I think that then is undone immediately in the next scene when he does stand up in front of a cheering crowd. Like, I think you're right, but without the cheering crowd bit.
Well, but then the cheering crowd, again, are we supposed to be in the cheering crowd? Or because, I mean, humanity's filled with idiots.
I think we are, though. He is idolised in that moment, and I think that detracts from that bit where you see him being silly. We live in a society whatever. I also think in that final scene, if he had killed someone who had not been so villainized throughout, it would have been a lot easier to then instantly vilify him.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you know what I mean? Like, all throughout the film, like, from the beginning, when you see Robert De Niro's, like, his quasi-father figure, who he looks up to so entirely, and then you see that, it's like, don't meet your heroes, whatever, but you see Robert De Niro just being an arsehole over and over and over again, to the point where when you shoot him, you're like, well, you're not like, that's terrible, but obviously understandable from the Joker's point of view.
I mean, I do agree with the Robert De Niro thing. Like, I think you're right. There is definitely he is shown to be like, even though he was this idol growing up, and then he turns out to be an arsehole, and he continues to be an arsehole, and so it almost feels, with the Joker as protagonist, it feels justified from that perspective. Yeah. So I do agree with that. I would say about the protesters, and maybe this is a leap, but if you think about the recent like American political situation, the fact that Trump can tweet something that's objectively false, filled with bad grammar, and just sounds like the ravings of an idiot, and still has millions of people cheering and supporting him, despite him like undeniably making fundamental errors in judgment. I mean, that's putting it very lightly. I think that is sort of not the main point of Joker, but I think that is one of the sort of points it's making. Like, even though he's a moron, and he does this whole, we live in a society, and he still has like a roaring fan base. That is, because it's cells of the internet which are like that. And that's sort of the point it's making. And I think, the point is we're not supposed to be cheering and being like, oh, wow, what a rousing speech. It's, Jesus, it's scary what people will rally behind if they think their weird, twisted world is being spoken for. And I think that's the main point of it.
I think that is probably the intended reading. But I find it's hard to read with, I don't know, the way it's edited, the score, the cinematography, to make him look like this superior figure, you know, when he's stood above everyone else, and he raises his arms in like this Christ-like gesture of, like, but that's the moment when you're like, oh, he is now the Joker. But that's the point. But also, it's just not, the point of the Joker is that he is, despite the audience liking him in The Dark Knight, all the characters within that universe either work for him, terrified of him, or hate him,
Yeah.
And they only work for him because he's fucking rich. And, he's fucking crazy. And no one wants to work with him because he's crazy, but he gets shit done,
Yeah.
Whereas in the Joaquin Joker, you've got people cheering him who support him because they believe fundamentally in what he's doing. And I think you shouldn't show that. Or not that you shouldn't show it, or you just should villainize it a lot more than they do.
Yeah. I mean, I think, so the Joker as a film, I think there are definitely problems with the way it's presented. I think you're right. There's more they could probably have done to make it more clear whose side they're on. But I do think probably that was what they were going for. But I mean, you're right. There's definitely... the idea has, as many people know, it's been done before and better, and like more clearly.
Yeah.
But I think it is interesting, it's like saying about, like, how the Joker normally is like, he's like this mad psychopath who's, everyone is either like working for him or just terrified / hated, you hate him. But then in this one, he has actual genuine supporters. And I think that's an important sort of evolution of the character for the modern age of like Trump, basically.
Yeah.
Because those old days of like clear good and evil are now behind us, and we're now in this new age of like, even things that you'd think would be objectively bad and evil have their supporters, and that's the world. And I think that's a lot of that is sort of the point of the Joker.